This is not just a story about kindness, it's a story about fate, family, and unexpected twists. Welcome my YouTube channel Storytime. If you like this story, please don't forget like, subscribe and share. Johnny Depp strolled through the streets of New York, seeking solace after months of intense media attention. The noise of fame often overwhelmed him, but tonight, the city seemed quieter. He walked aimlessly through Central Park, appreciating the simple beauty of the trees swaying in the breeze. As he passed a bench, he noticed a figure sitting alone. A young girl, no older than 16, clutched a worn-out backpack to her chest. Her clothes were tattered, her shoes barely holding together, and her thin frame suggested she hadn't eaten properly in days. Their eyes met briefly. She quickly looked away, but something in her gaze lingered with Johnny. He continued walking but found himself unable to shake the image of her sad eyes. Minutes later, footsteps approached from behind. "Sir," a soft voice called. Johnny turned to see the girl standing nervously, wringing her hands. "Can you spare some change?" she asked hesitantly. Johnny studied her closely. Her face was pale, framed by messy dark hair. Her eyes, though weary, held a flicker of determination. Reaching into his pocket, Johnny pulled out a few bills. As he handed them over, he noticed something glinting around her neck, a small, silver locket. It caught the moonlight, revealing a unique engraving that seemed oddly familiar. "Thank you," the girl whispered before quickly walking away. Johnny watched her retreat into the darkness. That locket, why did it stir something deep within him? He shook his head, chalking it up to coincidence. But as he walked home, the thought of the girl and that locket wouldn't leave his mind. That night, Johnny Depp sat alone in his apartment, staring at the city lights. But his mind wasn't on the glittering skyline. It was on the girl in Central Park, and the locket around her neck. It looked familiar, almost identical to one his late mother used to wear. His mother's locket had a unique engraving, an intertwined E and D, representing her initials, Elizabeth Depp. Johnny leaned back in his chair, lost in thought. The locket couldn't be a coincidence. He remembered his mother telling him stories about the past, about hardships and secrets she never fully explained. One story, in particular, stood out. She mentioned a time before Johnny was born when she faced unbearable struggles. There was always a hint of something she was holding back. Could this girl be connected to his mother's past? Unable to sleep, Johnny decided to return to Central Park the next day. He needed answers. The morning air was crisp as Johnny arrived at the park. He wandered for hours, scanning every bench and corner, hoping to spot the girl again. Just when he was about to give up, he saw her sitting under a tree, reading a tattered book. Taking a deep breath, Johnny approached cautiously. "Hey," he said softly. The girl looked up, startled. Her eyes widened in recognition. "You again," she whispered, her voice wary. "I just wanted to talk," Johnny said, kneeling down to her level. "May I sit?" The girl hesitated before nodding. Johnny sat beside her, studying her face more closely. She looked tired, worn down by life, but there was a strength in her eyes that reminded him of someone, his mother. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lily," she replied quietly. "That's a beautiful name," Johnny said with a gentle smile. "Where are you from?" Lily's eyes flickered with sadness. "Nowhere, really. I've been on my own for a while." Johnny frowned. "No family?" Lily shook her head. "My mom passed away when I was 10. Since then, it's just been me." "I'm sorry to hear that," Johnny said sincerely. He paused, then pointed to the locket around her neck. "That's a beautiful locket. Was it your mom's?" Lily's hand instinctively went to the locket, clutching it protectively. "Yes. She gave it to me before she died. It's the only thing I have left of her." Johnny leaned in closer, his heart pounding. "May I see it?" Lily hesitated but eventually nodded, opening the locket to reveal the engraving inside. Johnny's breath caught in his throat. There it was, the same intertwined E and D that his mother's locket had. "Where did your mom get this?" Johnny asked, his voice trembling. "She said it was a gift from someone important in her past," Lily said softly. "Someone she never forgot." Johnny's mind raced. Could it be possible that Lily's mother was connected to his own mother? Was there a secret his mother had never shared with him? "I think we need to talk," Johnny said. "Can I buy you lunch?" Lily glanced at him, uncertainty in her eyes. She wasn't used to strangers offering kindness, let alone a man who seemed oddly familiar. "Okay," she whispered. As they walked toward a nearby cafe, Johnny couldn't shake the feeling that fate had brought them together for a reason. He was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it might reveal. Johnny Depp and Lily sat at a quiet corner table in a small cafe. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, but Johnny's mind was elsewhere. He couldn't take his eyes off the locket around Lily's neck. As they waited for their food, Johnny leaned forward, his curiosity growing stronger. "Lily," he began gently, "can you tell me more about your mother? What was she like?" Lily's gaze softened. "She was kind. Always made sure I was safe, even when we didn't have much. Her name was Elizabeth. Everyone called her Liz." Johnny's heart skipped a beat. Elizabeth, the same name as his mother. "What happened to her?" he asked. Lily sighed, her voice trembling slightly. "She got sick. We couldn't afford a doctor. I tried to take care of her, but she passed away when I was 10. Johnny's chest tightened. He could see the pain in Lily's eyes, a pain he recognized. He had lost his own mother not long ago. "Did she ever mention her past?" Johnny asked carefully. Lily nodded slowly. "She talked about someone she loved a long time ago. She never said his name, but she always kept this locket. She said it was a reminder of someone she had to leave behind." Johnny sat back, his mind racing. His mother had once mentioned a difficult time in her life, a period when she had to make heartbreaking decisions to protect her family. Could it be possible that Elizabeth and Lily's mother were the same person? There was only one way to find out. "Lily," Johnny said softly, "I think we need to do a DNA test." Lily looked up, surprised. "What? Why?" Johnny took a deep breath. "Because I believe we might be related." For a moment, Lily stared at him in disbelief. "Related? How?" Johnny explained carefully, telling her about his mother, Elizabeth Depp, and the locket she used to wear. "The engraving on your locket is exactly the same as the one my mother had. It's too much of a coincidence." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "You think, my mom might have been your mother?" Johnny nodded. "It's possible. Maybe she had a child before me, someone she had to give up." Lily's hands trembled as she clutched the locket. "But why would she give me up?" Johnny reached out, placing a comforting hand on hers. "I don't know. But if it's true, we'll figure it out together." The next day, Johnny arranged for a private DNA test. He and Lily provided samples, and the results would take a few days to arrive. In the meantime, Johnny invited Lily to stay at his apartment. She was hesitant at first, and used to trusting strangers. But there was something about Johnny's sincerity that made her feel safe. As the days passed, they spent time getting to know each other. Johnny shared stories of his childhood, his rise to fame, and the challenges he faced. Lily opened up about her struggles on the streets, how she'd been surviving alone since her mother's death. "You're stronger than you realize," Johnny told her one evening. "Most people wouldn't have made it through what you've been through." Lily smiled faintly. "I guess I just never had a choice." Johnny admired her resilience. He felt a growing bond with her, a connection that went beyond the possibility of shared blood. Finally, the day of the DNA results arrived. Johnny and Lily sat together in his living room as the doctor called with the news. "Mr. Depp," the doctor said, "the results are conclusive. You and Lily share a significant amount of genetic markers. Based on the test, she is your half-sister." Johnny's heart pounded. It was true. Lily's eyes widened, tears streaming down her face. "We're family." Johnny smiled through his own tears. "Yes, Lily. We're family." In that moment, both of them knew their lives had changed forever. They weren't alone anymore. The phone call confirming the DNA results left both Johnny and Lily in stunned silence. The doctor's words echoed in their minds, "You and Lily share significant genetic markers. She is your half-sister." Lily wiped away tears as she stared at Johnny, trying to process what this meant. For years, she had been alone, drifting through life without a family. And now, out of nowhere, she had a brother, someone who truly cared about her. Johnny reached over, gently squeezing her hand. "We're family, Lily. You're not alone anymore." Lily's voice trembled as she whispered, "I've dreamed of hearing those words for so long." Johnny nodded, understanding the weight of those emotions. "I've lost people too. But maybe we've both been given a second chance." Over the next few days, Johnny and Lily began to adjust to their new reality. Johnny introduced her to his close circle of friends, and they were surprised to see a softer, more vulnerable side of the actor. "She's tough," Johnny told them proudly. "She's been through more than most people can imagine." Lily, in turn, felt a sense of belonging for the first time in years. She no longer had to worry about where her next meal would come from or where she would sleep. Johnny made sure she was comfortable, but more than that, he made sure she felt loved. One afternoon, while they were sorting through old photos, Lily found a picture of Johnny's mother. "That's her," she said softly, tracing the photo with her finger. "That's my mom." Johnny sat beside her, his eyes misty. "She was an amazing woman. I wish she could see us now." Lily smiled through her tears. "I think she can." Despite the joy of their newfound bond, there were still unanswered questions. "Why do you think she never told you about me?" Lily asked one evening. Johnny sighed. "I've thought about that a lot. My mother was strong, but she carried a lot of pain. Maybe she thought it was best to keep it a secret to protect us both." Lily nodded. "I guess it doesn't matter now. What matters is that we found each other." Johnny agreed. "And from now on, we stick together." As the days passed, Johnny began to notice changes in Lily. The shy, guarded girl he had met was slowly transforming into someone more confident and hopeful. He encouraged her to pursue her passions. "What do you want to do, Lily? What's your dream?" Lily hesitated, then smiled. "I've always loved music. My mom used to sing to me when I was little. It made me feel safe." Johnny's eyes lit up. "Then let's make that happen." He took her to a recording studio, introducing her to musicians and producers. At first, Lily was nervous, but with Johnny's support, she began to find her voice, both literally and figuratively. Her story quickly caught the attention of the media. Headlines read, "Johnny Depp's long-lost sister found, a story of family and redemption." At first, Lily was overwhelmed by the attention. But Johnny assured her, "Don't let them define you. You're more than just a headline. You're Lily, and you're incredible." One evening, after a long day in the studio, Lily and Johnny sat on his balcony, watching the city lights. "Thank you," Lily said softly. Johnny looked at her, puzzled. "For what?" "For saving me," she replied. "You didn't have to. But you did." Johnny smiled. "You saved me too, Lily. I didn't know I needed a sister until I found you." They sat in comfortable silence, both knowing that their lives had been forever changed. But this wasn't the end of their story, it was only the beginning. Months passed, and the bond between Johnny and Lily deepened. What began as a chance encounter had blossomed into a relationship filled with trust, love, and a shared determination to rebuild their lives together. Lily's music journey was gaining momentum. With Johnny's connections and her raw talent, she recorded her first song, a heartfelt tribute to her late mother titled "Lost and Found." The song resonated with listeners, telling a story of love, loss, and rediscovery. It climbed the charts, turning Lily into a rising star. Despite the fame, Johnny reminded her to stay grounded. "Fame can be loud and chaotic," he said. "But don't let it drown out your true self." Lily nodded. "I've learned that from you, Johnny. You've shown me what matters most." In the quiet moments between her music sessions and his film projects, they worked on piecing together their family's history. They visited their mother's old hometown, uncovering stories from neighbors and friends who remembered Elizabeth. One elderly woman, Mrs. Harrington, shared a revelation that brought them both to tears. "Your mother never stopped thinking about her first child," she told them. "She carried the weight of that decision her whole life, but she always believed you two would find each other someday." Hearing this, Lily and Johnny felt an even stronger connection to their mother's memory. "She believed in us, even when we didn't know we existed to each other," Lily said, her voice filled with emotion. Johnny placed an arm around her shoulder. "And now it's up to us to honor her by living fully, together." As Lily's music career flourished, she began using her platform to advocate for homeless youth. She shared her story at charity events, inspiring others with her journey from the streets to the spotlight. Johnny joined her efforts, funding shelters and programs to help struggling teens. Together, they became a force for change, turning their pain into purpose. "We're not just helping them survive," Lily said during a press conference. "We're helping them dream again." One evening, after a particularly successful benefit concert, Johnny and Lily sat backstage, reflecting on how far they'd come. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been?" Lily asked, sipping her tea. Johnny nodded thoughtfully. "All the time. But I also think that everything happened for a reason. We were meant to find each other." Lily smiled. "I believe that too. And I'm grateful every day." Years later, as Johnny stood in the audience watching Lily perform at a sold-out concert, he couldn't help but feel immense pride. She had transformed from a lost girl begging for change into a confident, talented woman who inspired millions. After the show, Lily ran into his arms, laughing. "What did you think?" "You were incredible," Johnny said, his eyes shining. "Mom would be so proud of you." Lily hugged him tightly. "She'd be proud of us both. We've come a long way, haven't we?" Johnny smiled. "We have. And we're just getting started." Together, they proved that even in the face of unimaginable loss, family could be found, lives could be rebuilt, and love could light the way forward. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain: they would face every challenge, every triumph, side by side. Theirs was a story of hope, healing, and the unbreakable bond of family, a story that neither of them could have written alone, but one they were proud to live together. Thank you for watching. If you want second part, please comment. And don't forget, like, subscribe and share.